Are you tired of leg workouts that leave your knees achy, feeling in pain after doing squats, lunges, and different knee dominant base variations? Well, today's video, I'm gonna give you the 5 ways to improve your quad strength without aggravating your knees. Let's get to it. Hey there, Brandon Split here from Thirst Gym, and today I'm going to give you my 5 proven techniques that are going to not only improve the strength and size of your quads, but are going to let you do it without your knees feeling like absolute crap. There's nothing worse than before you come to the gym, your knees aren't feeling good, so you're worried about doing squats and lunges and things like that, or after your workout's done, you're fear for what your knees are going to feel like the day after. I work with several clients every single week, and when I intake new clients, most people always talk about this hurts my knees, or my knees are bad, my knees feel like this. I can assure you we can get your quads and your legs stronger without aggravating your knees, so let's get into it. All right, step number 1 is going to be strategically implementing the way that you train your quads. So this might sound kind of simple, but the first thing I usually see people do is they push too hard, too fast into anything that they do from a lower body perspective in terms of either loading, the reps, the volume, you name it, people are pushing too hard, too fast. So by slowing down, staying in a moderate rep range early on as you start either your workout experience or your training session in general, to get things warmed up and feeling good can be a big key factor here. Something that you might consider is doing a set or 2 of leg extensions to get everything warmed up and feeling good with very light weight. Again, to drive some blood flow into the quads, but also lubricate the joints and get things feeling good before you move into everything else. This is not a pre-exhaust method. This is not anything fancy. It's basically an extended warm-up. But if your knees are hurting you, getting blood flow and getting good quality stretches and contractions, isolating the quads in a machine like the leg extension is a great place to start for many people. The other thing that you can do here is you can also do light goblet squats or other lunging variations with again, either just body weight or a very light load, and kind of grease the groove is what I like to call it. You're gonna go through the motions with intent, focusing on quality range of motion, feeling the muscles actually doing the work, and then progress on to whatever the rest of your training session is. So again, not earth-shattering, 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 15 repetitions, whatever it is that you want to do that gets you actually using your legs in a range of motion that feels good and progressively increasing that load a little bit over time, over the couple sets that you're doing, will then prepare your body for anything else that you're planning on to do from a lower body perspective, especially anything that is knee dominant. All right, the second thing we got to do here is focus on strategic implementation or biomechanics based on you. So generally speaking, there's 2 camps. There's going to be the long femur type, or the people with the long upper legs, or the short femur type, or the short upper legs. I'm somebody with a short femur, so I'm going to train my squats and my quads a little bit differently than somebody with longer legs. And what I mean by that is, if you happen to hinge more in your squat, we're going to start with those long leg people first. You can tell that they're bent over more to perform their squats, which usually means they're using their posterior chain, they're loosening their hamstrings more to a degree than those that squat more up and down. So those are people that are going to benefit in terms of hypertrophy of your quads, of elevating your heels to some extent, whether that be using weightlifting shoes, putting 5 or 10 pound plates underneath your shoes, or using a ramp with some of your different squatting variations. That's going to allow for natural forward knee travel. So long as you keep your foot relatively flat on there, you're going to be able to do this in a safe and effective manner, improve your range of motion, so you're going to get a bigger stretch on the muscle, and then you're also going to be able to focus that a little bit more on your quads. You can enhance this by going with a goblet squat or a front squat as well, getting an anterior load, because again, that's going to let you stay more vertical and let you blast your quads a little bit more. Someone like myself, well, I can definitely benefit from different heel elevated things, and I'm going to again still see some benefits, but because I naturally already squat somewhat upright, I can actually go to do things on my toes if I want to improve my stimulus that I'm getting from my quads here. So this could be things, old school bodybuilding things like hack squats on your toes, or different sissy squat variations are all excellent ways to focus on your quads, but have more forward knee travel than you normally would because you already have some of it. So again, it's not bad to have your knees come forward. You just want to make sure that the way that you're progressing this is very modest, and you're going to do it very slowly over time, because if you push too hard too fast, chances are your knees are going to get really pissy. And so the goal is to build some resiliency here, but find variations that let us achieve more range of motion and some forward knee travel that we normally don't get, which is then going to stimulate new hypertrophy for extra quad gains. All right, the third thing we're going to talk about here is going to be BFR, or blood flow restriction training. This is something that's not usually talked about. Bodybuilders definitely know of this for sure. It's just usually not done very well. But if you're somebody that's got really cranky knees, or there's certain exercises that just really bother you, and you got kind of a load management problem, your knees just can't handle the load that you need to stimulate new hypertrophy gains, BFR is going to be your best friend, especially early on as you try to build that tendon resiliency, which I'll talk about here later. So you're just going to take a knee wrap or a blood flow restriction cuff, you can find them on Amazon, wherever, or anything that's going to cut the blood flow off of your legs. You're going to tie it around your upper thigh area. And what this is going to do is limit and reduce the amount of blood that comes back up into the body. So the blood is going to basically pool and stay locked into your legs while you're doing the exercise. And the benefit of this is that we can use significantly less load. Like you can use 30% of what you would normally use and perform higher repetitions, get lots of blood flow in there, and that metabolite damage, and along with training the muscles and not getting the blood to come back, is going to stimulate new hypertrophy gains and a new stimulus to your body to build more muscle there. And so the reason this works well is because, one, you can do it on machines, so like a leg press or a leg extension or a hack squat, which is one of the 3 ways that I would probably recommend that you do this from a safety perspective. You can also do it with bodyweight split squats or bodyweight squats, but I would not recommend this at all. Doing this with heavy loaded variations, it would not be safe. Stick to very isolated based exercises and just crank out 2 to 4 sets of just a massive pump that you can handle. Push through the pain here, getting a big stretch with every single rep that you're doing, as we kind of alluded to earlier with the other extra things that we talked about, but then also feeling a good quality contraction, and do this for multiple sets. It will be absolutely painful, but it will make your quads grow, and the best thing is your knees are not going to have to feel a thing because of the decreased training load that you can use and still see gains. All right, the fourth thing here is going to be controlling your tempo. In particular, if you're using things like the leg press or a hack squat or a goblet squat or a split squat, decreasing the amount of speed that you're doing the exercise and increasing the time that it takes to do the eccentric or the lowering phase of the exercise is a fantastic way to not only increase the intensity, but decrease the load that you're going to be able to use, and also improve that tendency resiliency, which I talked about earlier that we need to address. Many people just have really bad tendon quality, especially at the patellar tendon, and so by controlling our tempo and slowing things down still through a full range of motion with a light to moderate load is going to let us get into those ranges of motion that we need to make our knees feel better, but it's also going to make the exercise more difficult, build up some metabolite, increase the time under tension, and let us really build some quality quads. This works great, like I said, for things like split squats and bodyweight squats, or maybe light goblet squats, or like a leg press. You can even do it with leg extensions with very slow eccentrics. But the other thing here I like too is also implementing an isometric between the change of the eccentric and the concentric. So what I mean by that is, if we're doing a leg extension, we're going to do our concentric, we're going to hold that for a solid 1 to 2 count, and then do a nice 3 to 5 second eccentric, and then come up, squeeze. And getting those isometrics is going to help increase the tendon strength, but also having that big range of motion and long time under tension gives us the best of both worlds of building muscle and improving that tendon resiliency. The other thing that you can do here is you can do just isometric based work. So you can hold a split squat, you can hold a bodyweight squat in the middle ranges of motion. That's going to improve the tendon strength, which is going to be great to improve your cranky knees, but also it's going to allow for a lot of metabolite damage to happen as well. This wouldn't be the go-to way to like build quads or anything, but it's a great thing you can do after, like, say, your split squats or your goblet squats as a finisher, or different ways to improve and increase the intensity with, again, not having to do anything in terms of load, and see the benefits for how it's going to improve your quads and your knees. All right, the fifth and final technique is going to be use intensity techniques to improve the intensity of your training, like it sounds, but without having to use crazy amount of loads to do so. So we're going to take this out of the page of our good old-fashioned bodybuilders from back in the day and implement the techniques that they used so that you don't have to use as much weight. And the 2 big ones that I really like here are going to be rest pause method and drop sets. The rest pause method is going to be, you're going to take your normal working set that you're doing, say sets of 10, 12, 15 on the leg extension. You're going to knock out your reps that you're doing, 1 to 2 reps of failure. You're then going to rest for 10 to 20 seconds using that same weight, knock out some more. Repeat that again. You can do this for 2 to 3 rests as you wish. There's 2 different ways you can do it. In this particular case, you can hold that position in the stretch position, which is going to be absolutely brutal and feel absolutely terrible. It's also going to limit the amount of weight that you can do, but that stretch is likely going to feel really good on your knees. So that's one thing that you can do to help improve your knees. The other thing here is going to be the drop set method, where you're going to, again, perform your reps of 10, 12, 15, however many reps it is. You're then going to decrease the load between 20 and 30%. So if I'm using 100 pounds on my leg extension, I'm now going to go between 80 and 70 pounds is what I'm going to use. I'm going to put the pin in, and I'm going to continue to go to failure. Again, 1 to 2 reps shy. And then I'm going to perform another drop set again, dropping 20 to 30%. So I might go to 50 or 40 pounds, and same thing, crank out as many reps as I can. Usually when you do drop sets like this, it's for your last set that you're doing. Or if you're doing rest pause, same thing, your last couple sets. You don't want to do this for every single exercise or anything like that. You want to usually do this with machine-based work, things that you can quickly either change load or not have to change position, and you can actually really push yourself in terms of the load and the intensity that you're getting to build that muscle. We also know that it's safe and effective in terms of what we're doing for our quads and our knees. So these are 2 techniques that I personally enjoyed. I use them with clients all the time, especially when it comes to quad-based work, because again, it helps us build big, meaty quads, and it also improves our tendon health when it comes to our knees. So there you have it. There are my top 5 ways to not only improve your quad strength and size, but do so without pissing your knees off in the process. Again, there's nothing worse than either not coming into train because your knees already hurt, or leaving the gym and the next day your knees feeling absolutely thrashed. There are smarter ways to do things, and with these 5 methods that I gave you, implementing just 1 or 2 at a time, I think you'll see that one, not only will your quads improve in their size, but your knees are going to feel better in the process, letting you optimize your training and get the most out of it. If you happen to take one awesome thing away from today's video, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you at the next video.